Hi guys, it's Jimmy Fluke here for Apex Racing Academy. This is our Spa track guide for the Mercedes-AMG GT4 for the 13th and final week of the Falcon Tire Sports Car Challenge. If you've enjoyed these track guides this season, do let us know and make sure to sign up with our Black Friday deal to get access to all of the other data packs that we provide as part of the Apex Racing Academy service. So the promo code for that is ACBF 2024, all capitals for the letters there. Punch that in apexracingac.com for 40% off your annual silver subscription. So on to this week, Spa in the wet, a really entertaining combo, trying to find the right lines to navigate the sort of slippery bits, find the grip, and just sort of hope for the best. The Mercedes will be a fairly stable and solid option this week, but I don't think it's an absolute standout, but it should get you in the mix, so let's get stuck in. Just a reminder, guys, that the Black Friday sale is live. That's 40% off your annual silver subscription. So over at apexracingac.com, and for that silver subscription for the year, make sure to punch in the promo code ACBF2024. So into the lap, over the start-finish line, I'm going to bring the car broadly over to the left-hand side for turn 1. 100 board is going to be a reasonable guide here, getting onto the brakes. And we're going to use the dry line on the way in here. Strong peak pressure, around 75-80%, as we would in the dry. Down into first gear, and just making sure not to grab the inside curbing here, because we do want to promote traction on our way through here. So just roll it through, nice and patient, smooth onto the throttle, straighten the wheel out, and then grab second as soon as we can, letting the car walk itself out towards the outside white line, but without going over it, again, for traction reasons. So down the hill we come towards Eau Rouge. In the dry, this isn't a particularly complicated section anymore, but in the wet, oh boy it is. So fifth gear, and we're going to sort of straight line it over the curbing here, and it's really important to start to come off the throttle and have as little throttle or brake input as possible as we come through the curbing here. This will just make sure that the car doesn't spin up or do anything crazy. So if I just roll it through, and you see fully lifting, down into fourth, and then gently introduce the brake. Notice the line that we're taking, nowhere near the inside line here, because all of the grip is sort of in the darker part of the track here. So left side wheels sort of wrapping around the outside of where it's quite light and shiny almost. That's where it's slippery with the standing water and the rubber that's been let down. So from here, slowly introduce the throttle, just making sure to stay disciplined here. Don't try and get too greedy, because the left hand at the top of the hill here of Radeon is still very much a corner in these conditions. We can pop the car up over the curb, but if you're going to do that, just make sure that you're aware that the car can step out. So just do be careful and mindful of that. So up over the crest we go. A little bit of a slide on the way through. You can try and drive around the curb, but you will probably need to lift and lose a little bit of momentum. So I find it better just to fire it straight over the top and hope for the best. So up the hill we go towards Le Combe, so up the Camel Straight. Again, just make sure, like over the white lines there, just to stay disciplined with the steering. Don't lose focus, don't lose concentration. And then on the brakes on the way into Le Combe, again, we're going to use a dry-ish line here, braking just before the 100 board on the left-hand side. Smoothly does it on the brakes. Again, trying to avoid getting onto the curb because that's going to minimize the grip levels that we have. And then the lines that we take in the wet here, not too dissimilar to the dry. We just need to be careful though on the inside curbing here, not to take too much on the inside because we're looking to accelerate a little bit. And there's reasonable grip on these red and yellow curbings because they are serrated, which does promote just a little bit of grip, but not too much in these conditions. Through the left, even though we've got the puddle here to worry about, there's plenty of grip inside of the curb, so we'll take a dry line through here. Up over we go. The car will hook around quite nicely. Just be super gentle on the throttle and then let the car sort of walk out pretty much to where we would in the dry actually, sort of halfway across the track. Bring the car over to the left for the final part, which is Malmedy. Again, avoiding the curb on turning, that will generate some serious issues. And then through the right-hander, plenty of the inside curb. I found that if I was going around the curb, it was just a bit slower. So this is fraught with some danger, but if you're consistent with your throttle and steering angle, let the car land and then catch the slide on the way out. And on the way out, you can use a little bit of the white line here on the way out, but I certainly wouldn't go all the way over the outside curbing here. So not a perfect exit by any means, but I didn't lose traction, and that's the main thing. Down the hill towards Rivage, so braking, similar sort of spot to where we would in the dry because we've got a fair bit less speed coming off of the previous corner. And we're going to dive for the inside line because it's quite slippery, sort of on the rubbered line on the way in here. So if we can just sort of go a little inside of that, then we'll maximize our braking efficiency. In towards the white line, blading off as we go. It will get slippery here, but that's okay because we'll slide out back towards more grip as well. So it's quite slippery in the middle of the corner here. And then where it's a little bit darker here, this is where all of the grip is. Slowly introduce the throttle. You can cross back over or stay wide, either is fine. When I say crossover, I mean the sort of rubbered in racing line. I chose to stay wide in this instance. I think either approach is fine. Over to the right hand side for No Name corner, or Jackie X corner. Really early onto the brakes here. It's downhill, it's slippery, it's very, very difficult to get right. Just going to keep the car in third and walk the car in towards, once again, a serrated inside curb here where there is a reasonable amount of grip, even once we start applying a little bit of throttle here. So patience with it, smoothly does it. And again, we've got a surprising amount of grip on corner exit here on the red and yellow curbing. If it's wetter than moderate or a moderately wet track, this is probably out of bounds of where you're going to gain some lap time. You need to just keep all four wheels on the tarmac. Any drier than moderate and you'll be able to use this for sure. So down the hill we go towards Pouillon. Very difficult in the wet. Again, downhill braking is a huge challenge. So once we come past the start of the curbing here on the right hand side, just keep the car pointing dead straight and let the car sort of miss the inside line, staying about a card's width off of where you would be in the dry, so we can maximize the grip on the outside line here. Primary reason for this is that it allows us to rotate the car effectively so we can get straight in quicker. And this very much is 2 corners in the wet. In the dry, this is sort of 1 long sweeping corner. In the wet, we do have to sort of take it as 2 corners. A little bit of a snap there on the way through, no major harm done. And then through the second part of the corner, over to the right-hand side again, you can sort of see where it's a little bit darker, closer to the outside line here, and lighter towards the inside, and then we've got the puddle as well. So the wider we go, the more grip we have, but it's just a longer way around. But I'm still feathering the throttle, trying my best to keep the car pointing in the right direction. And then down the hill we go towards Piff Path or Fangers, whatever name you prefer. So dry line on the way in. You could brake later on the inside line and get the car stopped earlier, but then it's a very difficult challenge to try and rotate the car through the right-hander. So it's a case of pick your poison on this one. Early onto the brakes, not too hard on the brake pressure either. And you can go about this in two different ways. You can either hold the inside line and deal with the extreme lack of grip here, but you're traveling a much shorter distance. Or in this case, because I was a little late on the brakes, taking the wider line and finding the grip on the outside and then trying to cross back over the slippery surface here. And then flicking the car left. Same sort of idea. Again, we can sort of run it wide or keep it tight. Either approach is fine. Just wherever you can find the grip and whatever you can get the car to actually do, because it is very unresponsive in this particular section. So once you've got feeling that the car is stable and settled, tracking out only as far as the white line, certainly no wider than that. And then again, sort of dry-ish line on the way in for the first Stavolo, braking well before the curb on the left-hand side here. Again, quite slippery on the way in. There's no real nice way of getting through here. It's just super important that, and this is why we're early on the brakes, it's just super important that we get the car to tuck in nice and smoothly. Very slippery on this inside line, but if we take the grippy line through here, which is brake on the inside, run the car towards the outside, then we have no run coming off the corner. It's just too difficult of a task to try and maintain minimum speed. On exit, again, we can use that red and yellow curbing, so that's fine. Just make sure that you're off it and have bled out of the throttle before you turn in for Stavolo 2 or Curb Offer, again, whichever you prefer to name it. The furthest inside we go, the more danger we have, so we've got to stay disciplined, bleed out of the throttle, and keep a fairly wide line through here, otherwise the car will try and snap. So smoothly does it. And again, we can use the red and yellow curbing on exit. Once we're safe, then, as you can see there, I crunch the throttle trying to get off of the corner. Accelerating hard towards Blanchimont. The first part, the first kink here before we get to it, is straightforward. Easy enough, flat. The second part, which would normally be pretty much flat, or at least just a small lift in the dry, is brake and down 1. So just slowly feed the car in. If we can grab the inside curb or even a little bit of the grass as well on the inside here, then the car responds quite favorably to that. So be aggressive on your turn-in. There tends to be quite a bit of grip there. And then on exit, I ran it just a touch wide, but was able to get away with it because I just kept the foot in. Track limits, as long as you don't go entirely over the drain here, I think you're good to go. Which is pretty much what I did here. So just about stay within track limits. I did lose a little bit of time here. I would say it's better just to exercise a little bit more caution on throttle. I was just a fraction greedy. And then into the final bus stop chicane. The white line is our guide and reference here. Just as we come past it, strong onto the brakes, slightly off of the ideal racing line, even taking the curb into account. It's just a little bit slippery close to the white line here, so I've just pulled the car away from it just to maximize braking efficiency here. Keeping the car straight, down into second, and we do eventually grab first gear. And then from here, it's actually a traditional sort of dry line approach with a tight, slow chicane. We tend not to change our line too much, so gently does it on the throttle, and small flick left, trying to maximize curb usage here to help rotate the car. And then straighten the car as quick as we can to maximize traction and drive, especially over the painted grid stalls here. So it's just really important to get the drive down as early as possible. But from here, straightforward run to the line, and that's a lap of Spa in the wet in Mercedes-AMG GT4. Thanks for watching, guys. Not just this video, but for the entire season as well. We've got our Black Friday sale with 40% off our annual silver subscription, which gives you access to all of the data packs for Apex Racing Academy for the season. So apexracingac.com once again for access to the subscription, and use the promo code ACBF2024 to get advantage of that offer. That's all from me for this week and the season. I'll see you in the next one.